You don't have to be happy to feel good. Just sort of trailing off of what I was thinking about talking about earlier today. And the word happy, I mean, that comes up a lot. I don't really vibe with that word, and I would like to start replacing it because I don't feel like it doesn't really mean what I'm trying to say. That word, happy, when I hear the word, I don't really feel it. It doesn't really feel good to me. Happy. It's complicated. It's convoluted. It's got strings attached to it, and all of those strings shoot off a million different directions, and some of them resonate in a pleasing way and some of them in a less pleasing way, and the overall result is just this kind of jumbled, convoluted mess of feeling. The vibration of happy, that word, is all fucked up. It means too many different things. It has too many connotations. It's not quite right. And I'm realizing, too, I mean, what is happiness, right? The way that we think of it, the way that it tends to be described is it's typically an association with the temporary fulfillment of an egoic whatever. The gratification of something in the moment. An egoic desire, not a soul desire. And I'm not even going to judge between the two. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just seeing that the ego is always looking for more, right? That's the hallmark of ego. It's never truly satisfied. It's never actually satisfied. So what makes ego happy it's not really happiness. That's not even really what happiness is. So we've used this word, much like we've used the word love, to describe a state, a feeling, an experience that isn't that. It's not even close. It's a tiny sliver. It's a temporary, reduced spectrum. It's like you're looking at happiness through this little slit, and you think that's what it is. You're looking at love through this tiny slit. You get one color of the whole spectrum. You go, this is love. It's just a sliver of the real thing, of the actual experience. True happiness is what I would call joy. True. But it's complicated to use those words. And no, we're not all speaking the same language. When one person says happiness, when I talk about happiness, what it conjures is the fleeting sensation that ego is accustomed to chasing. And that it always says is out there somewhere. And if this thing could just happen, if I could just get this job or this much money or this partner or have this experience, then I would finally have it. But you're never going to have it because you've put conditions on it. And it doesn't matter. If that condition is met, there'll be another one. There'll be another one. There'll be another 50 or 100. And so the true happiness, which Eckhart Tolle has called joy, and other teachers have called, it's different things. It's peace, it's bliss. It's that which has no opposite. And because it has no opposite, it can coexist simultaneously with other emotions. So you can feel joy and sorrow at the same time. You can feel peace and anxiety at the same time because they're different things. They arise from different places. And you can absolutely feel good without feeling happy. In fact, restricting good feeling to the idea, the concept, the experience of happiness as we imagine it to be, is a limitation on feeling good. It's actually limiting joy to say I have to be happy, I have to feel happy to feel joy. I know they sound like the same thing, but they're not. And that itself is a limiting statement. You don't have to feel happy to feel good. That's closing off 90% of the spectrum of good feeling. And we are unlimited. Our joy, our pleasure in experience is unlimited. And when we restrict ourselves to that tiny sliver, we're missing out. We're missing out on all of this good feeling that's available for us. Everything can feel good. It doesn't have to feel happy to feel good. Pain can feel good. This is an absolutely demonstrable, experientiable fact. Pain can feel good. Grief can feel good. Anger can certainly feel good. When we engage with those emotions that we've considered lesser and negative and things that we try to avoid or push down or keep out of sight, when we engage with them in a positive way, we realize they're not negative. We've been imbuing them with that charge by our perception of them as wrong, as unpleasant, as something to be avoided. When we limit good feeling by saying, I cannot feel grief and feel good, I have to stop feeling grief in order to feel good. That's a limiting belief. That's not true. And when we realize that that's not true, we open up the spectrum of experience, the spectrum of pleasurable experience to contain grief. Now grief is on the spectrum of pleasure. Now the whole spectrum becomes pleasing. It's just different types of pleasure. It's just different variations of good feeling. Grief can be good feeling. Contentment, good feeling. Frustration, good feeling. We've been limiting experience just because we're not aware that we have a choice. We've been following these thoughts that say, I can't feel good if, fill in the blank, because that's the default, because that's what the mind does. It creates rigid programming. It likes processes. It likes step A plus B equals C. And to say there's no way I can reach C without these steps. I understand that. But the mind is so limited. It is so limited. And we are unlimited. We have been willingly shackling ourselves and agreeing to the limitations that the mind has set forth. But now we are in this phase of transition where we collectively, as consciousness, as a species, are realizing we don't have to follow those rules. They're not real. They're not really rules. They're suggestions, they're ideas, they are made up. The same way, the very same way, if you're playing a game and you cross the line, I'm trying to think of an example. I don't know, pool is a good one because there's so many different ways to play pool and there's so many different rules. And maybe, you're not allowed to strike another ball when you're shooting for this one. You can't touch, and you do a break shot and somebody says, you can't do that. Well, you just did. You just did. Actually, you can. Actually, there is nothing stopping you from doing that. That's just a made-up rule that you can choose to follow or not. And it's exactly the same with everything that the mind puts forth. If the mind says, I can't do this until this, that's not true. We can choose to believe that and therefore enforce that in reality, and it will be reflected back to us and become true in our perception and experience of reality. But we don't have to. We can choose to believe something new. We get to recognize there are so many limiting thoughts. The vast majority of thought is self-limiting in some way. I can't feel good. I can't feel successful. Really, because really what we're searching for always is the feeling. When we say be happy or be successful, we're talking about feeling that way. Because there's no definition. There is no way to encapsulate happiness or success. There is no one definition of it. What happiness and success feels like and is to one person is not the same, could be the opposite to someone else. So it is actually all about the feeling. I want to feel good. I want to feel successful. Again, what does that even mean? It means I feel like I am doing what I want to do. Like I am achieving what I am setting forth to do. And I feel that the universe is behind me. The wind is at my back. It's in my sails. That's what success feels like. And in fact, we are achieving that each and every moment. You set forth into this incarnation to exist. Guess what? You're killing it. You are fucking nailing it. Existing, success, mark that one off. You did it. You did it. In fact, you can't not do it. Even the death of this physical form is not the death of your existence. So you're always existing. You're always succeeding in the one singular intention that you set forth for yourself being. You cannot fail. So give yourself permission to feel successful. I did it. I'm doing it. Feel that pride well up in yourself. There is nothing stopping you from feeling the way that you desire to feel. And even when we divert from that, nothing has gone wrong. Nothing has gone wrong. We choose to feel other things sometimes. Again, you don't have to feel happy to feel good. You don't have to feel deserving to be deserving. You don't have to feel successful to be successful. And reach a deeper layer of that understanding in yourself and get back to that good feeling sensation. When you look around and say, I am allowed to feel good in this, whatever this is, outside and inside, and that's a really important part. When you look around at your internal environment and you're observing the thoughts and the feelings and the sensations that are there, and you say to yourself, I am allowed to feel good in this. This is not a barrier to feeling good, and feeling good doesn't mean feeling happy. Maybe I can expand with curiosity the spectrum of good feeling to include other things. What would it mean to feel good in this? What might that feel like? And you're not really seeking, you're just asking and listening. It creates this, I keep wanting to tilt my head because that's what it feels like inside. It's just I wonder, maybe this, and you think, and then because you've put yourself into that place of asking a question, an open-ended question, a question that doesn't have a direct answer, now you're listening with curiosity. Now you're open. When you're open, you're able to receive. When you're in grief or anger or anxiety, frustration, shame, guilt, what would it be like? What would it look like? What would it feel like to ask yourself, what would the experience of guilt and good feeling look like if I were allowed to feel good while feeling this, What might that be like? And you don't need an answer. It's not there to be answered by your mind. It's just a question to ask. And then it opens up, it creates this space around whatever it is you're experiencing, even something as dense and heavy as guilt, which is totally created by the mind. What might it be like to feel good in guilt? I don't have to stop feeling this shame in order to feel good. I don't. In asking that question, in looking, observing at the internal experience in that way, you create this, you open a gap, you open space for a new experience of that emotion, that sensation, those thoughts. You gain a new perspective on them because you've created the space, you have backed yourself up. And now you can see them, and they look different. Things look different when you hold them out in front of you, as opposed to right in front of your face when you're buried in it. You can't really explore that. You can't really appreciate everything that's here, all the nuance of it. This is all I see. It's just a massive seething purple. But when you back it up, you say, I wonder if there's more. I wonder if I could enjoy that. I wonder if I'm allowed. I am allowed. I'm allowed to enjoy this experience. That doesn't mean I have to feel happy. Maybe there's a different kind of good feeling here for me to experience, something I've never felt before. Maybe I can feel good in guilt or grief or anger. And it just moves it away from you just a little bit, where you can see it more clearly and go, that's actually kind of cool. That's actually kind of pretty. Now I can see there's more color here. There's some green, maybe some red. Maybe the edges are kind of doing this, or maybe they're swirling. Maybe it evokes a certain scene, like a stormy ocean, but I'm not in it. It's here, and I'm looking at it, and I'm experiencing it, and I actually feel kind of good watching this emotion, experiencing this emotion, even these thoughts, all the thoughts swirling around that are a part of it. I don't have to feel happy to feel good. I don't have to feel happy to feel peace. I don't have to change this guilt, this anger, this grief. I don't have to change this to feel what I want to feel, which is just good. And I like that word because it's open. It's open-ended. It doesn't have this definition to it that something like happy does. Happy is so restrictive, it's so limited, and it's convoluted. I can feel a good feeling. Maybe it's something I can't even quite name. Maybe I don't have a name for it. It's somewhere between peace and contentment. It's just a relaxation. It's just relaxing into this experience. And when I'm not holding the emotion, the thought, whatever's swirling around within me with this death grip, when I say, this doesn't need to change for me to feel good, I stop trying to control it. When I'm not trying to control it, because when I'm trying to control it, I've got it like this. When I stop trying to control it because I've realized I don't need this to change to feel good, so I can just let it be there. Everything stretches out. There's that space, there's that relaxation. I just sort of relax into it. And it feels like a deep breath, like a sigh. You can feel everything expanding within you, all of this stretching happening. I am expanding my spectrum of experience. I'm expanding my spectrum of good feeling to include this. What a nuanced thing. It's like You're refining your palate for sensation. I'm allowing myself to experience this emotion in a new way, in a way that I've never experienced it before. Something so heavy, something that was so painful. It was painful because I had my hands wrapped so tightly around it, and it was squeezing me the way I was squeezing it. But when I let go of it, it let go of me. And now we're just sort of here, together. We're actually here together. There is actually a togetherness. There's a sense of connection and communion here. It's like now we're sharing something. I actually feel like I'm part of a shared experience. I'm witnessing. And I feel an honor in that, a privilege. I can feel love for the sharing of experience with this that now feels like it's looking back at me as I'm looking at it, and we're aware of each other. Every emotional experience, every internal experience can happen that way. I get lost. I get lost all the time. I get buried, tunnel vision, blinders on, focused in thought. It happens all the time. And that's okay. But I know that's always pushing me, because of the unpleasantness of that experience is always pushing me to step back, to examine, to become aware of what's happening, because I'm not aware. When I'm engaged in thinking, that's not awareness, that's not consciousness. And again, that's okay. It's not a bad thing, it's just a different thing. And it's a less pleasant thing. And all of that less pleasantness is just pushing me to find a way to get back to what is more pleasant, which is expanding my experience and my perspective, stepping out of the thought, not stopping the thought, not stopping the thought. Not stopping the emotional reaction that it may have created, not stopping the sensation, not trying to stop anything. I'm just looking at it and realizing this doesn't have to change. Whatever's happening in here, thought, feeling, this doesn't have to change for me to feel good. I can always find a thought that's going, I gotta fix this, I gotta fix whatever's happening, I gotta stop the thought, I gotta stop the anxiety in order to feel good again. It's just a matter of catching that thought, of regaining that level of awareness of, I feel like there's something to fix. I'm thinking a thought, I'm allowing a thought to retain my attention and my focus, and therefore my energy. And because I'm giving it that, I am believing it. I am believing a thought that says I'm not allowed to feel good right now. I'm not allowed to feel good until. That's a limiting thought. I don't need to know anything more. Doesn't matter what it's telling me needs to change. Now I've seen this pattern, and I'm realizing I don't need anything to change. I know that. I know that's a truth. That's a foundational truth. This is a limiting thought. Now I'm aware that it's a limiting thought, and I'm aware that I am aware of it. I become aware of my awareness. Right? Now you've stepped back into a third position. Now there's really some space happening. There's the thought that we were all tangled up in just a moment before. Then there's the awareness of, I've been tangled up in a thought, and it's a limiting thought that I've been believing. And then there's the awareness that I caught myself. Now look at 3 degrees of space have opened up in this, or 2, I don't know. More dimension, we've added dimensionality to this experience. And with the added dimension comes added sensation. We've opened up the spectrum. We've opened up awareness. We've opened up the potential for a new experience of this, from this new, higher, broader perspective. There's so much more feeling there. There's so much more nuance of sensation. And it becomes so clear, I don't need anything to change. Clearly, I'm demonstrating this to myself. I caught myself in the thought that said, I need to stop thinking this thought to feel good. I realized that was a self-limiting thought and it wasn't true. I'm allowed to feel good even while this thought is happening. And here I am in the new experience of feeling a new kind of good feeling while the thought is still going. And I'm just watching it. And it can go as long as it likes. It's probably going to peter out. It usually does. Sometimes it collides into other things, and I get to witness those things pinballing around. But once I've disconnected my belief from that thought, it really doesn't have any juice to it. It can't go on for much longer. And so I don't need the thought to change, but eventually it runs out of steam and just sort of peters out. Maybe another one will come in, riding along that same train. I need this to be that to feel good. Oh, look at that one. I can feel good while having that thought. I can feel good while experiencing the anxiety, whatever this other sensation is. I don't need this to change. I don't need to feel happy to feel good. I don't need to feel different than this to feel good. I'm not going to define good. I'm not going to limit good. I am not going to put a limit on good feeling. I'm going to believe and know and trust and understand that I can feel good in this situation, and I don't know what that means. I'm going to let it demonstrate itself to me. And I'm going to let it be different every single time. So I'm not searching for one singular feeling that I define as good. I'm letting all feeling be good to me. Whether we call it bliss or peace or joy, the truth of reality in our natural state feels good. It is good feeling. It is removed from thought. It is not necessarily free of thought. It doesn't mean there's no thought floating around happening in there. It's just detachment from the thought. You're not trying to manipulate it. You're not trying to control it. There's still sensation, there's still emotion. There's a lot of it. In fact, because you've added all of this space, there's more. It's just that the thought and the whatever emotion arises from the thought or is connected to it doesn't have control over you because you're not trying to control it. Because you're recognizing, I don't need to control this to feel good. I can just be. I can just let it be. And I can feel what I want to feel. Safe, secure. I can feel good. I don't have to feel happy to feel good. That's it. There is so much love here. For you, for everyone. And everything ultimately is good. I love you. Take it easy.